Good evening, selamat petang. We are back with episode 8 of Sembang Carlist today. We'll be discussing the different models of car ownership in Malaysia. I think in the last 2 years, we've had a few more options come up for us Malaysians besides just your conventional hire purchase or cash purchases. So we're going to be looking more in depth at that as we go on today. But before I start though, I'll let the team say hi first. We have Arvin back with us today.
Hello guys.
Have Jim.
Hey all. How you doing?
And we have Adam with us today.
Hello.
Also, yes, selamat Hari Raya. It's not too late. Raya sebulan kan? So, selamat Hari Raya to all of you celebrating. Also, just before we carry on, we've got a prize to give out today. 2 prizes actually. We have got G-Guard window coating. So 2 prizes for 2 people. All you have to do is comment I want in the comments below. Just say I want, right? What the G-Guard window coating does is it improves your visibility. It's safer for you, especially during the rain, and it repels water as well. So that's all you have to do. Just say I want in the comments below and you'll be in the running. We'll choose the winner at the end of the show. Okay? Without further ado, we'll go into the first model of car ownership, the one that we all buy cars with, right? Our dads did it. We do it too. I will let Jim and Arvin have the floor with this because they are the guys who have at the moment hire purchase agreements. Adam and me, we buy cars in a different way. So Jim, go ahead.
By the way, Mr. Hostman, what is your name, huh?
My name's Ferdinand. Sorry if I didn't introduce myself.
Very good.
Okay, I apologize. Everybody calls me Ferdy, so yes, I apologize.
Okay.
Man U defender, right?
Sure. Why not?
Okay, so I think everyone knows about a car loan, right? If you want to buy a car, you don't have enough cash to buy it with just cash, so you have to go borrow money from the bank. And so a car loan, in the bank's language, is called a hire purchase agreement, which is basically you put up a deposit, which could be anywhere from 10% onwards. And then over the course of your loan period, you basically buy back the bank's share of your car. After that, the car is yours, you can do whatever you want with it. So with bank loans, there's always the matter of interest, right? Because the bank doesn't really want to give you any money if they think you can't pay it back. They want to make a profit. And so, yeah, they charge you interest. Now, for Arvin, we buy, or at least I buy used cars most of the time. I've only had one new car, and that one was quite a cheap car. So basically, with risk factors, the more risk factors you have, the higher the interest rate. And whether or not you want to accept or not, that's up to you. But what can affect the risk factor, what can affect the interest rate to go high is, well, if it's a used car, new cars generally is lower risk, obviously. Used car is higher risk. If it's a used car, how old it is, where it's from, is it local, is it from overseas, does it have a good history of reliability or not? Then also about what you bring to the table. How old are you? How old are you? What is your credit history? What is your background? What is your profession? Do you have a steady income? What is your tax history? All those things. So once you do submit your loan application, you have a background check on you, and then the bank comes back and says whether or not they will be willing to give you the loan and if they are willing to give you the loan for the period that you want. Let's say you want a 9-year loan and just pay a little bit of money and just get the car. They might not agree to it. They might offer you, let's say, a 5-year loan, a 7-year loan. Whether or not you agree, up to you.
Right. So if I look at this graph, then Jim, is this the graph of risk? It's risk versus interest rate, correct?
Yeah.
So all the topics that you've covered, basically, I mean, if it's new versus used, the vehicle type. So with regard to vehicle type, is there a specific type that will probably incur a higher interest rate?
Yeah. So people usually buy let's say you buy a very safe car like a Myvi, a hatch, a 5-door hatch, or a Vios, a 4-door sedan. That's quite a safe car. You know, people assume that you'll be using it just for normal driving to and from work for your family. If you buy a sports car, higher risk. You might drive more spiritedly. You
Sure,
might
of course.
crash. Yeah, yeah. So it's definitely a factor.
All right.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of Myvis with big spoilers though, and we see them racing on the highways too. I think we need to change the classification for Myvis, no?
Myvi has always
Mm.
been
It's
The
a Malaysian
Myvi's
hypercar.
always
Ferrari, is
been
it not?
it's a jack of all trades, lah. You know, the Myvi is a blank slate. You can make it a family car. You can make it a supercar beater. You can make it whatever you want.
Tracker.
Yeah, you can make it whatever you want. Man.
Okay, so that's the conventional hire purchase that we have with banks, right? But I believe now there's a lot of car companies that are also offering financial solutions. And
Yeah.
their interest rates, I believe, are a lot more competitive compared to the regular, maybe bank interest rates, correct?
Yeah, yeah, correct. Just before that, I've always wondered how if you apply for a loan and the bank sees you as a high risk individual,
Maybe you
so they'll
work
give you
as
the
a
loan
minimum
anyway, but
invoice.
they'll give you a higher interest rate. I like why because okay, I need I need the money, but why are you gonna make it so expensive for me to pay, or more expensive than somewhere else? I'm just drawing from my own my my previous
Personal
experience of
experience, right?
of buying my last new car. It was brought brand new. Slight differences. I think I applied to Hong Leong Bank and Maybank, and I think Hong Leong came with like 3.26%, and Maybank was like 3.4. So I suppose in terms of what I earned and all that, it was enough to get me the loan. But yeah, there was still a slight difference. In terms of money, it was I think maybe a 15 ringgit difference or something like that. So yeah, just obviously just went
Yeah.
for the cheaper one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
KY has helped provide some light on how interest rate, I believe, is calculated. So it's usually repayment amount versus net salary versus age of vehicle. Oh, that's an easy enough metric for anyone watching to follow. Thank you, KY. You've been one of our loyal followers throughout Sembang Carlist. We appreciate your support. Continue supporting us. Don't forget
Yeah.
to I want. Okay, I want.
Can we
then
do that? Okay.
so and then I think in like what you say in more recent times, you've got manufacturers themselves setting up financial arms or credit services to lend people money to buy their cars. So it's another way of expanding their business. Earning interest along the
50%,
way.
though.
Yeah, and this Mercedes, I tell you, this is never been done.
Happen.
I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah,
What's the
Mercedes right
catch?
now,
What's the
0%.
catch?
yeah, 0%
That's
on.
the first question, all right? What's the catch? Yeah.
Zero
No,
point how
actually,
many
there's
percent?
okay. Funny you should ask. So, if we go down further, so you can see it's 0% if you and they have their models over here. So for the A class, your C class, GLC, E class. So more of their mass selling models or their uh, faster selling models, if you will. So 3 years, 0%. If you can pay the whole thing back in 3 years, go for it.
Good for you.
They're just gonna give you the money, and
Yeah,
then
exactly.
and at 4 years it's 0.88, 5 years 0.98, and then it follows 6 years 1.88, which is still pretty low compared to
It's still
in
quite
terms of
competitive.
interest. Yeah, and in
Yeah.
terms of interest rates for like mass selling cars, like let's say like the Myvi or something where you're paying about 3.3,
Yeah.
3.5. This is still technically a lot lower in terms of a percentage, but of course the banks are still going to make a lot of money because the car's worth 300,000 or 400,000, so on and so forth. And it also comes with motor insurance support and also integrated service package. So there's never been a better time to buy a Mercedes, if you ask me.
Do you think it's seasonal because the MCO season comes around every 1,000 years?
Yeah.
It-
Or was it 100 years? Since the
100
last.
years?
since the last pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and incidentally, yeah, there were Mercs back then also. So Mercedes is about 130 years old. So if I,
There you go. Yeah, so if anyone's looking for a Mercedes at this point in time,
Now or
for the
never.
next 100 years, we might not see a 0% again. So, uh, if you're looking for a Mercedes, go ahead.
yeah. We're not, we don't want another pandemic, but yeah, we
Yeah.
love these
And,
interest
and,
rates.
and if you can pay it off in 3 years, then power to you. Power to you.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Go for
Jealous.
it.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I think BMW have their own set of packages, finance packages. I think Toyota has recently introduced some for the Vios and some of the not so expensive models. So yeah, there are definitely things that new car buyers can look into, because it's definitely competitive and you're getting good deals, and no better time to buy than now.
At least you're not at the
So,
mercy of the banks or just the banks.
Yeah.
Right. So from the conventional hire purchase, we now move to the maybe not so conventional cash purchases, which I believe my dear colleague and friend Adam is quite well versed in, because he likes flipping cars and then buying cars, flipping cars and buying cars, and he does this all with cash. Correct?
That is correct. I guess the cash buying culture for me started because I grew up in England, and if you couldn't afford a car, you just bought a cheaper car.
Cheaper England.
Yeah. So it's not. Yeah, cars are cheaper in England, used cars anyway. But it doesn't mean we can't get a nice, cheap used car in Malaysia. So there's a couple of ways to do this. The first way, you could start off with a really cheap car, but it's got a lot of potential, like
I
something
thought
like
the
this.
first step is
It's got good bones. Yeah.
Yeah, something like this, perhaps.
go Carlist.
Yes, of course.
That's the first step. Yeah, that's where you get
Yes,
the first deals. Yes, go to Carlist first. Correct, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's worth 8,000 ringgit, 8,800. If you have cash, you always have bargaining power, so you can always haggle it down. Okay.
Yeah. And
Let's
this is
say
an E36, correct?
this is an E36.
E36.
Yes, the car that probably defined the C-class market.
Yes.
So you get it for maybe 7.5 or 8. Maybe you spend another 4 or 5 painting it or doing the interior a little bit, and live with it for a little bit and save up some more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe
And
it's all.
Yeah, and having owned myself, being lucky enough to have an E39 that I also purchased with cash, despite its age, these cars run brilliantly. And
You BMW guys really have to stop using the chassis codes.
Yeah, I know. For some reason, everyone over here promotes
So
BMWs.
that's a 3 Series that you're looking at. Purdy has a 5 Series, old one, all old cars.
Yeah.
No BMW. In this car, everything is fixable. The only thing that's not fixable is rust. So that's the only thing you got to be worried about.
Exactly.
If the car is rust free, you can build it up. And like I said, so you have this, you build it up, you save for another year, sell it, and then with whatever you save, top it up.
Next one. Yeah.
You want the next one, and then
Wayla Dealers.
And maybe at some point you can move on to pre-owned cars if you bored of that bengkel life. Right?
Bengkel life, yeah. Okay.
So you can go for pre-owned cars.
We've got quite a few brands of pre-owned cars as well. Toyota has their pre-owned, Volkswagen, I believe, has their pre-owned.
Certified pre-owned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certified pre-owned. I think, is it Nissan as well that has their certified pre-owned?
MUV,
Yeah, so you do have quite a few options where if you want, I suppose, want a bit more security, a bit more,
because all of them pretty much offer a warranty, extended warranty, some roadside assistance, 133 point check, and to be honest, they only sell them with genuine parts. So no OEM parts, nothing. So that car is as good as new.
Yeah. Do we have any examples of any you would recommend, or any that you came across?
Yeah, do you see the screen?
Yeah,
Yes.
there we go. Okay.
I mean, there you go. I mean, for 30 grand, you can get a Polo. I mean, this is a solid car. It'll take you
Yeah.
everywhere. You know.
Yeah. And this
That's
has basically has the Volkswagen stamp of approval, lah kan?
Yes. It's got
Right.
everything. It's got the genuine parts. You can test drive it. The certificate of quality. So yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're bored of the banking life, but I'm not.
Yeah. I think if you buy a car with cash for cheap, I think you have to be a little bit fond of the banking life, lah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because I just hate giving money to the banks, I guess.
Yeah. That's one way to
okay.
look
Yeah.
at it.
And
Yeah.
That's
Quite the
a
problem.
motivation, I suppose.
Yeah, and also
Yeah.
my the weight on my shoulder is not that heavy, so I like that. Because one
Yeah.
month you might have to repair it, the other month you might not have to. So
That's true.
with higher purchase, every month you gotta repair it because you're paying a fee, right?
Oh yeah. Okay. Fair
Okay.
enough.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. That's one
Depends
way to
on what
look
car
at
you
it.
buy with the high
Yeah,
purchase.
it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. But you know,
If
modern
you buy
cars, right?
your RCZ, then yeah, you might have to replay it every month. You know. Just
So
saying.
far, not yet, lah. Not yet. Nothing major so far.
Keep
Yeah,
it
anyway,
analog.
shout out to all the 7 other Peugeot RCZ owners in Malaysia. Jim has an RCZ, so if you want some friends, get in touch with Jim, okay? To the next model of ownership. This is something new that we've just, I think, had over the last 2 years, maybe. And we find that it's we have it across both. A startup has come aboard with it, Flux. If you guys have heard of Flux, an interesting tidbit that you may not know. So I had the opportunity of speaking to Flux's CEO Aiman Aziz, and so Flux came into the market in October of 2019. And according to him, so this short of this coming up to about a year, right? According to him, he gets 1 subscription every other day. So that is, to me, an impressive number of subscribers that are coming onto the model, despite its infancy. And according to him, so the market share that they have on Flux is 70% locals and 30% expats. Which again is interesting, because now we are seeing that the locals are also the locals are also open to this model of subscription. You know, because I think if you ask people from my dad's generation, perhaps they would be like, you know, having that grant, I think, in your name was sort of like a statement of pride. You know, I bought this car, whether it's a car that I bought with my first salary, or the car that I bought myself, you know, on my own, right? So with it came a certain pride. But I think we're seeing a shift towards, I don't need to have anything in my name, but I'd like to have this car with all the services that come with it among the more younger generation. I don't know if I qualify for that. I think for me, I personally still like having a car under my name. I don't know about you guys, but what would you go for subscription, Arvin? Is that something you would opt for?
I'm honestly considering it, to be honest. I'm like, it's. I mean, we talk about Flux. I mean, the variety of cars that you can have. You know, I mean, you don't need to. I suppose you don't need to switch between premium cars or anything like that. I mean, of course, it's whether you can afford it. But give me a Yaris and then give me a Sienta. I'm like, dude, I'll be happy, man. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you know, certain people are fine with buying a car and using it for 9 years and then keeping it for another 5 years. Like, but if you're the type that tends to get bored after 5 years and you want to change it, then you know, subscription is the way to go, because you don't have to sell the car. You have no depreciation concerns, and you know, there's variety. You know, so I think in that sense,
I think one of the other strong points with Flux is also the fact that they have this concierge service for you. I mean, we are all so stuck with our busy lives, having to purchase either your road tax or your insurance, right? So for them, it's a one-step solution. Like everything is under that window. Yeah, you pay a slight premium over the conventional hire purchase. Yes, you do, right? But now you find that all these services are taken care of for you, including the servicing of your car.
Yeah.
So
They come
that'll
pick
be
up the car, they send it for servicing, they return the car to you, and if there's a long time between when the car needs to be serviced, you get a replacement car.
Correct.
See?
So there's options, and then it
exactly.
takes the
It takes the headaches away.
you don't have to think about it. You don't have to go and plan your service. And make time, take off from your work, and go there, wait there while while they get the car done. So it's a car is supposed to be a convenience, right? So this is taking ownership and providing you with convenience as well. So it's just extending that level of convenience that you have with your car. So I mean, yeah, it goes back to what you say, like, do I really want it as an asset? Or, is it a source of pride, or, or am I the type that I just buy it and a car's A to B, and it doesn't matter that I, keep it until it runs itself into the ground. So
and I think one other point that was interesting as well that Aiman brought up was that because the startup capital for Flux in particular is quite low compared to your conventional hire purchase. Like you don't have to come up with a 10-20% initially off the get-go, right? So it's a lower startup. And in this particular time where we need the liquidity, when so many people are out of jobs, or when we're having pay cuts and stuff like that. So I think that comes in handy. And then the other option that we have is that now, say you're doing well today, you go for a wildfire. If tomorrow things are not so well, you can always downgrade. Things are better again, you can upgrade. So you have that flexibility, I suppose, with regard to a subscription-based model, which I don't have. If I want my car outright, so whether it's high maintenance or low maintenance, I'm stuck with it for lack of a better term. I'm happily stuck with it, though. I'll have you know that. But if you like the flexibility, then it's definitely something for you.
Yeah, but
I think it's about time.
Sorry, Adam, go ahead.
With Flux, every raya you have a new car, huh?
That's okay. Yeah, sure. You get a new car every raya, sure.
Yeah,
every meetup with your car friends also got new car. Every family gathering got new car.
That Yaris is looking damn tasty to me, lah.
There you go.
And also to quote a personal experience. So my wife's car, we love it. It served us well all these years, and just recently we had a lot of wear and tear stuff that we needed to change, like engine mounts and stuff like that. So it was put off for a while, and then and we're like, oh, we got other stuff to take care of, so we just put this off for another month and all that, and it just kind of came to a point where it really needed to be done. And so in that month we are paying for the car, the hire purchase loan, and then you get this big bill for your maintenance stuff and everything. And my wife was like, no, it's fine. We need to take care of this car, and it takes care of us, right? But had we just had some form of, hey, we just pay a little bit more every month, and there's no worries when it comes to like bigger bills like this. So in that sense, I think subscription is
that's like buying a car with cash.
But having said that, though, I think if we were a lot more disciplined with setting aside a certain portion of our salary towards the car maintenance, then come the time when we have a big repair, it won't be such a shock to the wallet. I think we're all guilty of it. I am as well. Sometimes I'm like, oh crikey, so do I leave the car in the bengkel and take the train? I suppose that's what I have to do, So I suppose that's also us having discipline. But what I like though is that I think Renault has a subscription that it can give you the Megane on weekends, I think, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cooler things, I think, that they are. You guys can see the screen. So
yes.
Although I think you can pick from these three models: Captor from 600 a month, Coleus from just under 1,009, and then Magin RS for 2,999. So I'm sure that McGinn is looking very tasty as well.
It's like you pull some points. You drive around the normal car for a long time, and you accrue all these points to claim the Megane for yourself like a weekend.
Yeah. And then
Is
it
it like
becomes a spirited weekend drive with the lads or with the club. Yeah.
I mean, but personally, I think the Captur is a really good car. It's very well designed, very practical. So and at 500 or even if it was 800 a month, it's still because the car is outright. I mean, if you bought it outright, it's 108,000 or just under 108,000. So to pay 800 a month and all in, you don't have to worry about servicing and whatnot and maintenance stuff and all that. It's actually a lot of peace of mind.
I think at the end of the day, it really is what's the price of convenience to you.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that price to you? I think we all have a certain price, right? So at the end of the day, the question is, what is that price to me? I think at 599 or even like you said 800, I think that's a worthy. That really is a monthly installment. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It makes you think, am I maybe, should I maybe consider this? I mean, yeah, it definitely makes you think.
Yeah, definitely. Flux and Renault have definitely tickled me a little bit too.
The other thing is for like second car buyers, so let's say you have a nice big SUV for the whole family, but maybe you just want something for the smaller journeys or the runarounds and all that. So just going for a subscription where you don't have to worry after 3 years you give it back, you take something else, or
or
it makes sense as a second car option. So
I mean, second car option as well. Like let's say you bought a sports car, you don't have to give it up. You can still subscribe to another car, which could be a Captur, could be a Koleos, to be the family car, therefore preserving your lovely sports car that you want to keep around forever.
Right.
Especially
I think it's beautiful.
Especially if you have a concept RCZ.
Don't say it. I'm going to say that. Just stop saying it, man.
Okay. We've got a question again from KY. Tell us what you all drive. Oh, there you go.
I don't know what I drive.
You don't know.
What you drive? KY, what you drive? I think BMW, right?
We'll answer on your behalf. It's okay. That's how what do you drive? What's your daily driver?
It's funny. Cash buy BMW E36 3 Series.
How surprising! How surprising!
Yeah, I want a Yaris from Plux though. I'll be probably asking Plux for a Yaris because the car is becoming too wild. I need something more civilized for daily drive.
There you go. And Adam?
I just drive a normal Golf.
Golf what color is it?
It's red.
Katabo.
God. It took 10 years of flipping to get here though, so.
and Jim, sorry, you should tell us what you drive.
I drive a very impractical sports car, sort of sports car from France, our Peugeot RCZ. Yeah, it's a daily / I want to mod it, but I don't want to let it go. But it's costing me money, but I don't care. It's that kind of thing. It's a lot to me. Yeah,
passion.
All in one, man. Yeah, maybe I can't flip it. It's out of the question. Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's an experiment. It's experiment. Yeah. And then you got one more.
I have a 308, very practical 308.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
1.6 easy maintenance. I'm a happy man. No complaints. Yeah.
All right. What? Oh wait, are we missing out one? Like one? What?
Well, I think we want to talk about things like agility and balloon financing, all these new things.
So we do have one more. We've got two more that we've not spoken about. So now we also have the lease with option to own, which I think a lot of OEMs now are also offering as part of their ownership package. I think one of the more maybe prominent ones would be Mercedes's agility financing, I believe it's called. That's something that basically offers you, I think, the option to lease the car for a number of years, and then when it comes to the end of that period, you then have the option of either upgrading or selling it back to them or buying it off them, correct?
Yeah, I don't know if I've actually heard them use the word lease in their terminology because they don't want to maybe have the association, but
Sure.
they want to offer you. So basically, like Mercedes-Benz, BMW, they have financial arms, like Arvin said. But
Yeah.
instead of offering you a hire purchase agreement like normal, they want to give you very competitive rates because they know these kinds of people, or at least their customers, tend to upgrade their cars quite often, usually like 3 years. And like 3 years is usually like the time frame from one model release to the facelift, and then they want the facelift right away. So, it's quite similar to a normal HPE agreement. You pay either 10% or up to, like, I don't know, 50% of deposit, and the rest is fronted by the financial institution, in this case, Mercedes-Benz or BMW, right? So you basically, usually a contract for agility financing, as Mercedes-Benz calls it, or balloon financing, as BMW calls it, is much shorter. The tenure is like 3 years, 3 or 5 years, I think, depends. But it's much more flexible. So you have, number one, you have everything taken care of for you. Like, just like the subscriptions, you get insurance taken care of. It's inclusive. All the servicing and maintenance, even the wear and tear stuff, is included in the price.
Right. So it's also a concierge service sort of then.
Yeah, you have a concierge service. There's a lot of perks. They throw in a lot of perks.
Right.
But I think the main draw of this is because if you buy a car, a luxury car or whatever, you don't know how much it's going to be worth when you want to sell it. It might be worth as much as you want it to be worth to take care of your outstanding loan if you have one, or it's less and you're kind of like stuck. You have to produce up more. You have to pay more money to the bank even if you sold the car. But with this, you have this guaranteed
future
value, right?
GFV,
so depending on the number of years that you keep the car, you would be guaranteed a value, a certain number, that if you sell it, or if you let it go back to the manufacturer, to BMW, Mercedes-Benz, they will take it back at that value, no questions asked. Or actually, you know what? So you can either do that or sell it. I didn't know you could do this. You could sell it on the open market too. So let's say you have a certain amount of money left over in this plan. If you have a better offer somewhere else, let's say on Carlist, you could sell that money, settle the outstanding amount, and then keep the rest for yourself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So that, I believe it's I mean, that flexibility again is something that I think a lot of people would appreciate. I mean, I would appreciate it for sure if I was on an agility financing plan per se. I also like the fact that you're basically guaranteed of the depreciation of the car upfront. I'm assuming this is upfront to you, right? So when you start on it, the numbers are shown to you upfront, and you don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, if I keep this car for 3 years or 4 years,
I mean, I don't know that. I'm not an expert, but I believe they would show you the amount of depreciation per year.
I think the GFV is displayed up front. I believe. I think that's how the model works. So
normally, I think at that premium segment, the two main pros are one, you get to upgrade the car down the line in a timely manner. So and then they take care of the car. You upgrade. You have loyalty to the brand. Secondly is, of course, premium cars depreciate a lot faster than mass sellers and cars that are cheaper. So it's inevitable. There are always newer models, and demand fluctuates depending on a lot of other seasonal factors and whatnot. So I think the biggest drivers are that you can change the car on a timely basis, and you will be getting another Mercedes-Benz, which is no bad thing. And the second thing being that you don't have to worry about depreciation, because some people they buy their first Mercedes-Benz and it's a dream come true and they want to keep it forever. But maybe someone who just loves cars, they would want the new E-Class and the new E-Class and the one after that, and it works for people like that. Again, it's I suppose it's convenient, but it's also giving you're not hamstrung down to the loan, because I think that happens a lot with when you want to sell the car and then your loan, your HP loan is way too
Too low.
high than what
You can't
people are
recover,
willing to pay for it.
Let
Yeah,
it go, huh?
yeah.
I mean, if
So-
only they did this for like like BMW has certified pre-use stuff and Mercedes-Benz too. If they did this for their pre-use, I'd be all over that.
yeah,
I'd be so into that.
it'd be looking
Yeah.
tasty.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us, we are discussing the different models of car ownership in Malaysia, right? And we do have two winners. Well, today win the G Guard window coating. So, like I said, if you want to be in the running, just again, I want comment in Facebook. Just comment I want, and we'll pick the winners after the show. So we've covered basically the more, I suppose, obvious methods of car ownership in Malaysia. We've covered the hire purchase, cash, subscription that we have now with Flux, services like Flux and Renault, and then we have the financing models by the car manufacturers themselves with like BMW and Mercedes. Now, say you're the kind of person that, you just want to get from point A to point B, not worry about traffic, not worry about parking, not worry
Jam.
about traffic
Fuel.
jams, right?
Yep.
Fuel. Then you also have, of course, the option of e-hailing and public transport. It still gets you around. It still gets you from point A to point B safely. You don't have to be. I suppose if you're not. See, I sometimes just like getting in the car and just driving aimlessly somewhere. I enjoy doing that, right? But I suppose not everyone's like me. I think everybody in this conversation enjoys doing that to some extent. But there are people, I suppose, who are not like us, who is like, I just want to get from point A to point B, really.
What's the point of driving, man? It's like, you go nowhere. What to do?
Exactly.
Go somewhere lah.
Yeah.
We go makan lah.
There's that frame of thought, yes, and then you have, of course, the option of e-hailing. I think Grab is so prevalent these days, and if you live in one of the more urban areas, it's so easy to get them. You see a map of where the cars are. You just get one on your phone, and boom, it's there outside your house, and you're good to go. One thing I think that many people may not be cognizant of, and one thing that I realized was that because it's so easy to book a Grab car, and because there's no cash transferring hands, you don't realize what the final bill is until you have a look at it.
Yes,
Because when you look at the individual journey, it's 10 ringgit, it's 5 ringgit, it's 8 ringgit, it's not a big deal. But cumulatively, you'll be like, wow, okay, I didn't realize I spent that much on Grab.
But you could do like me. I
because
just
you like
choose the
stuck in
cash
traffic.
option all the time
Yeah.
because I don't want to lose track. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one way of doing it, I think, I suppose. Yeah. But what would say on an average do we have the rates for? I think we have got the rates for Grab, do we?
Yeah. Let me bring it up.
Sure. Okay. So I think
here.
there you go. So if you, I think from this, if you look at this, and let's say we draw a scenario where you're spending on average maybe 20 ringgit a day to go back and forth from work, right? So then
That's
on a
just to
month
work.
you're spending, that's just to work, correct? So on a month you're spending about 600 ringgit. With 600 ringgit, could you comfortably own a vehicle?
Definitely. You could own a used
I'm gonna say
vehicle. You
yes.
could own a brand new Axia. I think you should still be able to pay the installment, pay for petrol, pay for parking. I suppose parking is an outlier. It depends what you do,
of course.
but you could. I think you definitely could, and you could pick up a used Myvi for 15,000 and then pay maybe $300 a month or less even. So because the thing is like it's a minimum of 5 ringgit, right? Per ride. I don't think you get it any lower than that.
Yeah, I think
No,
so.
yeah.
5 ringgit.
No.
That's the best.
That's the base
So, like-
fare. Yeah.
So like
Just
even
don't
if
get a chauffeur, that's
I
all.
Sorry.
Yeah.
again,
You just don't get a chauffeur. That's all.
Yeah, definitely. You don't get to sit at the back with your headphones on, or read a book and get to your destination. Yeah, definitely.
That's
There
priceless sometimes.
are times where I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so convenient. I just have to sit down at the back and I can either do work or be on a con call or, just get things done while moving from point A to point B. So yes, I don't disagree that there are times when it's really convenient. I suppose a marriage of e-hailing as well as the conventional method of ownership is something that I appreciate. I don't know someone who's only used e-hailing for transport. Are you guys aware of friends who primarily only use e-hailing for getting around?
Yeah, I have
Yes, yes.
some younger friends who are just out of college. They're so used to taking Grab to and from college or wherever they want to go. Like they want to go to have dinner with their friends or go to the mall or whatever. They just don't want to drive. And so now they come into the working world. They don't really know what, they're just so used to the Grab lifestyle, even
Yeah,
though it doesn't really satisfy all their needs. And I think that's what kind of the point you were making just now is that there's all these different ways to own a car, even though Grab is not really owning a car yourself. But it's
sure.
kind of the benefits of owning a car in the sense that you get from A to B.
Yeah,
You sometimes you want to get from A to B with no hassles. That's Grab. Sometimes you want a car for yourself for a longer period of time that's more practical or different from the one you have. That's like a subscription, maybe. Maybe you want to change your luxury car every few years. That's going to be like balloon financing or Mercedes Benz's version of that. Sometimes you want to have a car all to yourself all the time because you feel a certain connection to it. That's either cash or hire purchase. It all fits together. I think it's a very. I think now we're coming into an age where having or experiencing a car is much easier.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
definitely.
like Grab's also like a godsend to the elderly. Like I
Yeah,
think my mom and dad move around more now,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they know how to use
that's a good
Grab.
point.
I think before they'll
yeah.
be like, we don't know how to go into KL anymore. It's weird and
Yeah,
different.
yeah, for sure. I don't want
It's
to go to
empty.
KL.
The other thing I suppose is, I mean, there will come a time where Grab or e-hailing services become almost comparable to the cost of owning your own car. Right now, it's still not. It's nowhere near as cheap as running your own car from A to B. Um, but there will come a time, and with more autonomy, and we're seeing uh, a lot of research being done by firms like Uber and
Prices
all that,
will
where they want to get,
come down.
the moment a car becomes autonomous and electric and basically free to run, and that's
Yeah,
where e-hailing services become, competitive as to or as competitive as owning your own car.
owning your own car. Yeah,
So yeah, right now I think it's still cheaper to own your own car. But yeah, like you say, the many forms of ownership these days. So you don't really need to get stuck on one. Like I mean, I would say like maybe if you only travel on the weekends to the mall or something, and all the other days you take Grab and LRT to work, then just have a cheap car that does that. I mean, just
that's
buy
yeah,
buy a car for like
To take you
five
to
thousand
7-Eleven.
cash. Yeah, just
yeah,
just to
exactly.
run to the market, or just go to the store and tap out your food and whatnot. So you can get a Vira for 5,000-6,000 ringgit. It will do that fine,
Yeah,
and
But you were saying
like a
buy cash,
used.
right?
Yeah, by
Yes,
cash.
by cash.
By
Yeah,
cash. One time, the car's always going to be with you, grant in hand, my car,
yeah,
and it'll always be there. It's so easy to maintain. It will get the job done. It's not fancy, but it will get the job done.
yeah.
And for everywhere else where if you work if you work in KLCC, you don't want to pay $20 for parking every day, right? So
Of course.
yeah, it makes sense to Grab. It makes sense to take the train if you want to. But let's say you come back, you want to go tapao, or you want to go and buy something. Yeah, you have your Vira. It really depends. I mean, if you are happy cycling, go ahead cycle. So I think
I think
we live in an age of convenience. Lah.
yeah, and I think we also live in an age where we've got enough options and choices to choose what works best for us, and that can be
Definitely.
either a single model of car ownership or a combination of one or two or even three different types
Even
of
all.
car ownership.
Perhaps even all.
Perhaps, yeah, exactly. Perhaps even a bit of all,
For
Why
every
not?
occasion. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we have nicely wrapped up with that. On that note, we will pick the winners after the show. You will have 2 winners for the G-Guard window coating. So we hope you have written I want in the comments. We'll pick the winners after this. Thank you guys for staying tuned with us on Sembang Carlist. We've got the next one will be coming up next week. We'll let you know what the topic and is next week lah. Okay.
Surprise.
But I heard the giveaways next week quiet gempak lah. I heard lah. So we will see what it is lah during the reveal of the poster early next week. Thank you again for staying with us. Have a good night. And
are you giving away a RCZ?
Oh.
I think we'll have an option of the RCZ.
I take photo for you lah. I take photo and I print it out. I give to you.
I think after this, Jim will give away his RCZ.
Maybe now got value already. Maybe the market price shot up already.
Yeah, it's been talked about.
Make me a cash offer again.
It's been hitting, yes. It might. I think saham sudah naik lah. Yeah. Yes. Sehingga berjumpa lagi kawan-kawan. Take care. Have a good evening, and thank you for joining us. Bye bye.
All right. Good night.